Everybody, how we doing? Hope you're good. Hope you've had a great evening so far. Welcome along to another tea party. Hope you're good. Like I say, it's always nice to kind of chat to you properly. Hello, Kim. Hi, Diane. Hi, Rosie Rose, Belfast Crafty, Mike Larry. How are we doing? Hello, Weird Fox. How are we? Well, Alyssa, really good. Oh, it's so nice to see you coming in now. Because before, when I go live, I've there's nothing. It's really nice for you to come on in. Hi, Kaz. Hi, Spange. Hope we're good. Yeah, so this evening, um, when I first started doing this kind of chimps tea party idea, it was always going to be around trying to make things much more interactive with you guys. All right. So what I decided is rather than just me just chatting aimlessly and not having any real topic, I thought what I really would like to do is just basically get to know your thoughts, your experiences, because I waffle on so much about 30 East Drive and what I used to do with Paranormal Truth and things like that. And quite frankly, I'm getting a bit bored of it. Now, I know that me and Diane, we are at some point going to be kind of giving you a real kind of insight into the I suppose the life changing in a way experience that we had at 30 East Drive, because it definitely changed my opinion of the place. But that's not what I want to talk to you this evening. I want to find out from you guys your paranormal experiences. And this is not, I don't just want this to be about ghosts or poltergeists or hauntings or anything like that. It could be about anything. So if you happen to have seen, for instance, if you've seen a UFO once, which just defied belief, or if you have seen a cryptid, or if you have seen something just truly unusual, even if it's like on a ghost event company and you're a bit skeptical and you weren't too sure whether it was something that was true or not, or if the Ouija board performed in a particular strange way, or if you had a very kind of weird experience, tell us. All right, that's what I'm really after. If, however, you've got something which needs a little bit more in depth, then like I say, and you're thinking, well, on the chat, maybe that I need to kind of go through this in a lot more detail. So, for instance, if you had a home haunted, for instance, for a long period of time, and there's just too much to talk about, what I'm going to do for the first time is I'm going to put on this. Like I said, this is probably going to be a really bad idea, but I'm going to put on the stream the link for you to get access to here. So if you have got a phone with a camera, or even better, a laptop, PC, anything like that, and you want to kind of tell me live actually on here, so through video or just audio only if you want to, and you want to tell me your experiences, and it's a detailed one, please kind of like come on in, and like I say, then we can properly get to grips with your experience. So I would love for you to start kind of putting in here. Look, Gareth's the first one. Well done, Gareth. What's he's putting? I'm just going to start going. Right, I thought I saw a shadow figure in the Golden Fleece at York in the top room. Cool. Do you know, I've been in the Golden Fleece quite a few. It's a very cramped place, but I've never investigated the place properly. It's one place that, like I said, been into the pub, but never actually kind of witnessed anything there or did a proper investigation there. Yeah, but there was like Gareth going, yeah, that was half asleep at the time. Let's have a look at this one. Kim saying, still don't understand how they pulled off the video in Russia with the older woman and the child levitating. I don't think I've seen that one, Kim, to be honest. I can you obviously, if you've got Instagram or anything like that, then you can find the podcast, and then maybe you could just give us a link to that, because I think that'd be really, really cool. Let's have a look. What's Weird Fox saying? St. Catherine's or the Shambles room? Okay, I don't know about that. Let's have a look. Yeah, like I say, so good evening. I'm just going to say hello to everybody. Before we start kind of telling everybody what our experiences are, I'm just going to say hello to, if I've missed anybody in the chat, I apologize. So I've already said hello to Diane and Mike and Weird Fox and Dark Veil. Good evening, Tim. Janice, hello. Kim, Rosie Rose. If I'm saying hello to you twice, I apologize, but it's all good. Kaz, Scarlet, Spange, and Peregrine F1, and Chris, and Rob, and Simon. Good evening. Who else we got? And I'm just going to go down the list. Yeah, say hi if you're in the chat. If you're already kind of lurking in the background, 'cause, if you can say hi, please do say hi. It's nice. Caroline, good evening. And who else we got? Alyssa. I'll probably say some of these. So Spookfest, good evening. Brian, Tammy, mum of twins, good evening. Who else we got? Mr. DSC, good evening. Straight from your stream. Sam Hain, good evening. Alison Derbyshire, Ghosts and Graves, excellent. Good evening as well. Let's have a look. And excellent. Right. So Chris was saying, here, I really enjoyed The Lady in the Bay Window. It was a very good account, actually. The guy who was talking to me about that, really interesting. Whether you believe that everything that occurred as he explained is a different matter, but I really loved that. So if you've didn't see that podcast, it's well worth checking out because it's a very interesting account. Let's have a look there. Okay, Brian. I was at the gym and two guys were walking a large mirror in. I knew it would break and said, "Watch out, the people around me." And a second later, it exploded. Oh, that's cool. So that's unusual. Was it paranormal? Unusual? Good timing? Maybe Brian is kind of perceptive. We shall see. Maybe he is. Well, he's very perceptive with his questions. About 30 years of very varied experiences, none actually searched for, and have a child spirit in my house that comes and goes. Hey, that's cool. How do you know it's a child spirit, Belfast Crafty? Have you heard them? How do you know? Are they just mischievous? What's going on? Tell me more. So look, so Spookfest said, I've seen a shadow kid with 7 friends at an abandoned asylum in Massachusetts. We all seen him. He ran through tall grass and you could see the grass move and into a brick wall and gone. We all even searched. That is so cool. That is so cool. I love the fact that you saw the tall grass kind of moving, and then disappeared into a brick wall. That's really interesting. What's Weird Fox say? I've got a few tales, but when I was an investigator and team leading for events company, rarely anything happened. How very, very bloody typical. Very typical that. What's Simon's saying? I'm happy to pop on and chat about what I messaged about, but let me have my pizza first. Hey, Simon, all in good time, my friend. All in good time. What's this? Is Tim having a go at people already? Bloody lurkers. Yeah, come on in. Let's have a look. What's Tammy saying? Had a few experiences. My in-laws still live in my house. They both passed many years ago. I also had an experience in Sloss. Is that Furnance? In Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama. That's cool. What happened? Tell me more. I need to know. Let's have a look. What's this for? It's a don't forget to say safe for work video if someone pops on. Just please be very kind of sensible. If you do come on, please be very. I'm sure you are. Every single one of you is lovely, and I don't think there's any real weirdos out there. But if you're thinking about trying to do anything weird, please don't. Particularly if you're going live, it will shut my channel down. Right, let's have a look. I went for a tour around the old Derby jail. The tour guide told us about a murder. We went over the road to the pub where the murder weapon was. I was holding it when my phone went off with my mates. Part 1 of 2. Keep us in suspenders there, Gareth. Why don't you? Let's have a look. I'm going to wait for Gareth's second part now. And let's have a look. Christoph had a spirit with me since I was 5. I was in my teens. A friend saw some things. I said it was George. He was making fun and got scratched down his back. So I've never had that. I've never been scratched by anything. Genuinely, like people talk about being scratched and touched by spirits and things. I've never had that. I kind of want that to happen because I'm always really skeptical, surprise, surprise, of people who have been scratched. Hang on. Wait a minute. Here's Gareth's second part. My phone went off with my mate's name coming up, but her phone was switched off. That's a bit weird, Gareth. That's very strange. Let's have a look. Yeah, and I've heard and seen them, says Belfast Crafty. My son's autistic and he made a little boy out of his PJs and he told me it was another him. I've been told it's a sibling of his that wasn't born. Ooh, that's freaky. That's proper freaky. I love this stuff. Let's have a look. The scariest experience I ever had was at Storth's Hall, an old asylum. Short version, got thrown, pushed across a room in front of witnesses, disorientated and scared, and could not Oh, I need the next bit. That's so cool. The fact that's the other thing. I've never been physically assaulted or pushed or thrown or had that experience of being. I've been on a wonky floorboard and fell forward slightly, but I've never had that. Let's have a look. And scared and could not. Oh, sorry, could not run as it was derelict and unsafe. That's very, very freaky. I'm surprised I'd have been bloody terrified if that was happening to me. There was security there, so a few of us put our hands up. I thought we got caught, but realised he was only 4 foot tall and complete black shadow. Kind of could see through him a bit. I love this stuff. Let's have a look. Brian saying every house I've lived in had a death of some old former owner. Never had a single experience. It is rare. It is rare. Let's have a look. I'm loving this because there's everyone's like typing away now, which I'm really loving. Sammy Mama Twin said, I and several other people saw someone jump from one of the towers. Everyone called the police and 911. No one was there. The police said they get the calls often saying the same. Right. Where are these towers? Is this the same place you mentioned earlier? Because I love stuff like this. And yeah, really, really weird. Let's have a look. Kim, I think she's doubting herself. Kim, now I'm not sure if I had the experiences since I watched your last podcast. Was everything in my mind, or did I really see and hear things? That is the problem with this podcast, because you get to talk to lots of skeptics, and they will kind of tell you that it doesn't exist. It's all in your mind. It's psychological, and there's lots and lots of rational explanations, and then you start doubting your story. But stick with your experience. Just. I think, to be honest with yourself, if you felt and saw something that you believe was genuine, then who's to say, who's to argue against you, really? No effing ghosts. Love that name. Lived in a house when both in bed and had the bathroom door banging open and shut. No wind at all. Both ran downstairs, and I went to the living room, and the missus ran out of the house and left me alone. Oh, that's nice. Just leave you to it. That is probably scary. I do get, even though I'm kind of skeptical and stuff, when these things happen or unusual things happen, it's genuinely really confusing and scary. So whether you believe it was genuine or not, I do absolutely agree that, at that moment, it was probably bloody terrifying. Let's have a look. I still can't get over that time that Paranormal Truth were going to that house up north, and I messaged Dale to warn him about a room that I hadn't seen of or knew about. The time you were late. Yes, I do know that. To very briefly kind of explain what Dan's talking about, there was a house up in Middlesbrough in the north of England. Paranormal Truths and myself and Dale were going to investigate it. I was doing a tattooing job, basically, so I was a little bit late. Dale arrived. But before Dale arrived, Diane warned him, and as Dale must have been in the house on his own for maybe 5 minutes, if that. And then there was a staircase. If anybody of you has followed the Ouija Brothers, you'll know it's where Plategate happened. So there's a wooden stairway, and Dale had something charging down the stairs towards him, terrified him. And then he kind of backed off into a small downstairs bedroom, and he got, I think it was like hissed at. And anyway, that was all within 5 minutes of him being in that place. So yeah, really interesting. Very, very odd. Very odd that was. But yeah, when I got there, nothing happened. Story of my life. So I went to a report of a disturbance of a colleague. We went into the flat with the occupants, and we both saw the room filled with darkness and the sense of impending doom. That's a bit mental, Tim. For anybody who doesn't realise, Dark Vale, police officer. So obviously you go in there in a professional capacity, and if you see that kind of thing, filling with darkness and the sense of impending doom, you're probably gonna, yeah. How would you feel that? Genuinely, Tim. As a police officer going into that, and then you get that. How do you respond to that? Because obviously you got a professional hat on, but yet you've also probably been bloody terrified by what the hell happened. So it'd be interesting to know what you did after that. I've got to say. Let's have a look. What's Brian said? I've had several dreams of a sister who I don't have and never had. That's odd. And Cree Storm saying, my husband was a firm but non-believer, and when things would come up missing, I'd say it's just George screwing with me. He'd roll his eyes until he put his glasses on the table and went to sleep. And I'm guessing when he woke up, the glasses weren't there or something. Oh, there we go. Look. They ended up on the floor under his trash can next to the bed. Very odd. Weirdly, I had some odd things like that during COVID. And that was very odd as well. Some weird things happened during COVID. Let's have a look. I'm going to go live later to talk about more stories, and my sister can come on and confirm some of them. Some of my friends, I'll ask Mike, my friend that's seen the Shadow Kid with me. I'll ask him to come. Awesome, so Spookfest. Yeah, I shall put. Actually, what I'll do is, like I said, I may be regretting this very soon, but let me put it on. Actually, let me get it up and running, so at least then you can make a note of it. So here is the stream address. So if you would like to come on to the stream and talk to me properly, like I said, audio only if you want to, or you can have like either a cam, like a webcam or anything like that. You can talk to me properly. Like I said, please be nice. Please be sensible. But yeah, https /studio.restream.io/ELN CMCC-USQ. There we go. So I shall put that on a couple of times, and yeah, that is the stream address. So if anybody would like to come on and talk to me properly, like I say, if you can't do this in one or two sentences and one or two lines on the chat, come on in, because then you can tell me properly, and this will be like a proper conversation with you guys at home, and you can share your story with anybody if you are brave enough to come on and tell us about what happened to you. Then yes, you can come onto this podcast and tell us all about it. I can only bring on probably one or two people at a time, and then as soon as you said your thing, I'm afraid I'll have to go. Thank you very much. Goodbye. But because otherwise, it's going to get too busy, basically. But yeah, so there we go. Is that long enough for you to have copied it, or is that long enough? I'll give you a little bit longer in case you wanted to note that down. Let's have a look. I'm just going to go through some of the chat. I will, in case you're copying this. Bless you, Weird Fox, for becoming a member. Thank you so much. Let's have a look. Sorry, I'm just going to go miss the chat slightly. I'm just going to read a few of them. Let's have a look. Peregrine F1, when I was 12, I heard what I thought was Mum stepping down into the living room. I turned around to say something, but it was a Victorian gentleman who walked through and into a room that wasn't there. Peregrine F1, that is awesome. That is like the holy grail. I would love that. I would so love that. I've never had that happen. Let's have a look. What's happened to Mike? Around 8 to 12 weeks ago, I went to take a glass out of a dishwasher. The dishes are cooled down to room temperature. I picked up the glass. It exploded outwards in all directions. I've got no explanation. Yeah, normally that's because of hot and cold and things like that. My only thing is, obviously, it's heated up to such an extent that even though it would cool down, maybe it just obviously affected it. So you only had to touch it and shatter, maybe. Wow, that's very interesting. Okay. Rosie Rose Ray, the house I grew up in Derbyshire was haunted. Activity would come and go with long periods of nothing, then voices and an apport. That was nothing compared to a flat is that Radford in Nottinghamshire? Or is that Retford? Which was, dun, 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 I'm sure, there we go, truly terrifying, locked doors opening, things moving, and seeing a pair of legs walking up the stairs in front of me in the middle of the day, which faded out above the knees, was so bad I had to move. That is so cool. I've had some admittedly odd things happen over the years, but I'm very skeptical, so don't worry. Don't really believe it was paranormal, more that I just can't explain it. I get that. Bumps into that. You definitely do kind of, you do kind of rationalize some of these things. Cascala, is that enough, by the way? Is that enough time for people to have noted down the address? Hopefully it is by now. Someone bumped into me in an old tobacco shop years ago. I turned around to have a go and no one was there. I've also had many strange things happen in a few houses I've lived in. Wow. That's cool as well. And what's that? Back at Royal Court Theatre. Yeah, back at Royal Court Theatre. Had paint pots thrown at me. I remember you telling me about this, Lou. Paint pots thrown at me and 2 laptops stopped working there. That's also where I had where it was in the dressing rooms, where there was like static electricity in there. That's very strange. Oh, Rob, bless you. Thank you so much Thank you. Thank you, Ralph, for the super chat. Thank you so much. Love your channel, Justin. Thank you. I do really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Gareth, don't forget the monkey merch. Yes, the merch is now available. Belfast Crafty, thank you so much. I like to say all this help is really, really appreciative and really appreciated. Thank you so much. Let's have a look. Sam Haynes said, when I was a kid, I had a few things happen that I wasn't able to explain. I've always dismissed them, but I always remember them. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Particularly if it's, particularly when you're young, you kind of remember that kind of stuff. Let's have a look. I went to a pub in Gothland. I've been to Gothland. It's a lovely place. Had a nice pie. That's good information, Simon. Cheers. Tried to go back the following year, but the pub wasn't there. It was a holiday cottage. It used to be a pub 100 years ago. No other pubs nearby. What? See, there is a pub in Gothland because it was used for Heartbeat. But I'm assuming it's not that pub you're talking about. Oh, anyway, very, very, very odd. Very odd. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. What's Janice saying? Randon lived in an old coach inn and had a few experiences that I can't explain. So did my daughters. Oh, come on, Janice, tell me more. Tell me more information. Don't tease me with this kind of stuff. I love this kind of thing. Let's have a look. What's that? What's Abbott saying? You want paranormal? I just got off Anthony Mars. What's that? I just got off Anthony Mars. Live from England, playing guitar and singing. His was called The Tea Party. The only time he's done that. I didn't really understand that, I've got to say, Abbott, but I kind of get what you mean. Thank you. Crease, what's that saying? Subscribe to your channel today. We'll check your channel out. Thank you very much. Love it. Thank you. Let's have a look. Belfast Crafting. My friend is a complete skeptic and still didn't believe it when my TV switched itself on right in front of her, even though there was no batteries in the remote. Yeah, I've had some weird TV stuff as well in the past, but it's very confusing. Let's have a look. So Abbott's saying, you're both English. Is there something I'm missing being an American with this Tea Party business today? I don't know. It's I just call it Chimp's Tea Party just because we're just a bunch of monkeys, quite frankly. It could go a little bit mad. So, it could go, but I love that kind of thing. I don't mind. Let's have a look. Yes, well, Kim, I will Google it because I don't know. I'm not aware of the video or the footage that you mean, because Google the girl levitating in the Russian woods 10 years ago is when it happened. I shall have a look into it if I remember after this, I've got to say. Let's have a look. Oh, Mike, thank you so much. Bless you. Thank you so much for the super chat, Mike. That's really, really do appreciate it. Thank you. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. I love this, Kim. My family already thinks I'm already crazy. I'm not telling anybody anything. Yeah, fair enough, Kim. Yeah, you don't want to be seen as a complete weirdo just by telling us what's happened. Wayne, thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you. Let's have a look. I'm still going down. I'm loving all the chat, I've got to say. Oh yes, of course. Back in the 60s and 70s, there were commercials for a well-known tea brand, and they used chimpanzees. They did, and yeah, that's where it all comes from. Let's have a look. What's Laura saying? Whilst on FaceTime with my niece, she was chatting away and then said, "Bye, Mary," and I thought it was weird as the previous tenant who died right where I'm sitting now was called Mary. Did your niece explain that at all? Did she kind of say that she saw somebody or heard something afterwards or saw somebody past you? That's very odd. Very odd. Let's have a look. Has something apporting ever been captured on video even once? I've never seen anything on... Well, I've seen fake videos. I've gotten stuff that's obviously CGI. But in terms of anything which I would regard as a genuine apport, I don't think I have. I've seen lots of dodgy videos, but aren't we all? They're all on Facebook. Let's have a look. Um, what's Anthony saying? I wonder if you and Dale still talk, and if so, I wondered if you'd have him on the podcast. To be honest, I have not spoken to Dale. I've got to say, for the last 3 years. And so no, I haven't. I've got to say. So I don't. I honestly don't know what he's doing. Don't know what he's doing. But I wish him well. Got to say. Let's have a look. What's Abbott saying now? Okay, here we go. My friend in Southern California owns a historical building for plays in the basement. Sorry, owns a building for plays. In the basement is a girl ghost. He told me to go check it out. I did like the usual. She left and never came back. And so now he won't talk to me. Seriously, he says I scared his ghost. Abbott's obviously a terrifying person. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Belfast crafting. Alex, I do love all this kind of chat. 3 houses ago, we lived in a house that had a spirit, but it wasn't scary. Then it changed and got really dark and scary. My son couldn't speak yet, but jumped up, closing my wardrobe, saying bye bye, go away. They do say that, that the children kind of experience these things, and, more than adults, or children can see spirits or be aware of spirits. I was kind of hoping for that when my kids were little, but they never did, and I was a little bit disappointing. A little bit disappointed, I've got to say. Collie Crazy was saying, I heard a voice whisper, help me, when no one else was in the room. Heard later that the house is built on a First World War training ground. That room always feels strange. Yeah, I've heard voices as well of people and things that aren't there, and it does freak you out. But it's actually more common than you might think, particularly in haunted locations. Let's have a look. Since the glasses thing, my husband has seen me put things down and then they aren't there, and he finds them downstairs where I hadn't gone. But the best was when he was building a dresser. Oh, ... If you come back to that career in a second. Let's have a look. See if I can. I say what I don't want to do is kind of like miss certain, when it's, miss certain things. So, cologne for the room. Every time he went to work on it, and when it was finished, it left and never came back. That is so odd. Oh, there you go. Simon's just being bigger. It wasn't the Heartbeat pub. It was up near the other end. It wasn't that either. But that is very. Do you think? I mean, that sounds like a proper time slip thing. If that's genuine, that's very, very odd. Let's have a look. This is going back at Royal Court Theatre. It was the first dressing room, I think. The rest were fine. You went in after, and I said it was electric, as you thought I was bloody gaga. I did a bit, but then I did definitely went in there, and it was very, very odd, and it was the furthest one away. So yeah, it was the very first number one, I think. Very odd that was. Let's have a look. I went to get a legit group to come into my home and document things that happen here. A certain time of night, a cigarette lights in my kitchen. You can hear it and see it. Oh, I've got so many questions about that. That's mental. So did you see, like in terms of the cigarette lighting, how was it lit for starters? Did it move? Did you see it? What was going on? Let's have a look. I'm just going to go on here. Yeah, Alexa, I have heard this kind of thing, Brian, before, but it's strange that if it came back to room temperature, it must have. I'd have thought the glass might have just still been kind of structurally kind of compromised from the heat of the dishwasher. I'd have thought. To the guy who posted about the glass breaking, has happened to me too. It's the glass is super hot as a small crack and it gets cold fast. Very good. What's Janice saying? Beer stick moved out of cellar. Chalk moved to the side of the cellar. Daughters had masks thrown off the wall at them. Just a few. That's cool, Janice. Let's have a look. One of our TVs turns on and off occasionally, but put it down to 40 TV. Yeah, I mean, it has been known to do things like that. That some people just think it's TVs are kind of, particularly if it's an older TV, it might just be a little bit dodgy. My co-workers and I have seen a shadow of a man we think is the previous owner, but many different unexplainable occurrences here over the past 20 years that I know about. Multiple people that years apart. That's very odd. I need to kind of what other things have happened, Steph? That's what I want to know. That's all I've. Oh, Rob, bless you. Thank you so much for gifting memberships. Thank you, particularly 5 of them. Thank you so much, Rob. Let's have a look. World War II recon. I've just walked my friend's dog, stopped, looked at the shadows in one area and started growling, creeped me out. Yeah, it does definitely creep you out. You definitely have yeah, when dogs do that, it's unnerving. I've had that a couple of times when they do that for no apparent reason. Let's have a look on here. Cold Springs Tavern in Santa Barbara, California is the same way. It was a stagecoach stop till has the creek heel wood floors. It's rad. I would love see. I don't know most of the places that you mentioned in America. I don't know of these places, so I'm always fascinated to hear about kind of things that have happened in other parts of the world. So that is amazing. Let's have a look. God. Oh, this is weird, isn't it? To call the eldest daughter talking to someone in her bedroom, she was a teenager at the time. See, that's quite old, isn't it? That's not a young that's not a young thing. You usually kind of think that young children would have something like that. But if it's as a teenager, that's kind of unheard of by that point. So that's very interesting. Let's have a look. Mike O. November 1998. 3 of us were hanging out on a cleared lot along a hillside. After 30 minutes, a loud booming and growling noise was heard coming up the embankment to us. What the bloody hell was that then, Mike? I'm guessing because you ran, you have no idea what caused that, but that's very odd. Like I say, you got no explanation for that. That's very odd. Let's have a look. I'm just looking at look at Recon just basically saying just dropped one that happened walking my mate's dog. Yeah, thank you so much, Rob. For Sam saying thank you so much to Rob for the gifted memberships. Thank you so much for that, Rob. Yeah, and Kim is saying thank you too. Rob, you're a legend. Thank you very much. Laura's was saying, no, my niece was too young. She had a very limited vocabulary at the time. She doesn't remember it now. I find that really fascinating. There we go. Let's have a look on here. When I was very young, I had a reoccurring dream nightmare where I saw numbers counting down from 10. Unless I could shout my mum to come into my room and get me before 0, I had absolutely awful nightmares. I've mentioned before, like I said, I've had reoccurring, more like dreams than nightmares. I've had reoccurring dreams about the time when my home had a poltergeist in it. And so I'm always taken back to when I was 8 years old. I'm always taken back to my old bedroom. And this reoccurring dream I've had is a really strange one because in my dream, my reoccurring dream, I'm lifted off my feet, like being wrapped up. I could feel the pressure on my chest and I'm lifted off my feet. And to this day, I don't know whether that actually occurred or whether it was just a dream. But yeah, it's a very strange one. And I keep having that. Let's have a look. Oh, Mike's the same. We checked the area the next day and noticed 4 to 6 foot aspens fell in half. Literally did not see any footprints, but it was raining. That's even weirder. That's very, very odd, Mike. Let's have a look. Thank you, Span, for saying hit the like. Thank you. Yeah, please do hit the like, thumbs up, and all of that business. That would definitely always helps the channel. Let's have a look. I'm just gonna. If I do miss your comments, I do really I apologize if I do miss your comments, but I will keep trying. I will get there eventually. I would like to hear of your experience at 30s Drive. I might have missed it if you have already discussed. I have talked about it in the past. What I think I'm going to do, maybe a members only thing, but Diane, who is in the chat now, and I think she's going to get hold of 1 or 2 other people who were there at the time as well. It's kind of to basically explain to everybody what occurred, because there's been a lot of nothing. Well, there was a lot of nothing in East Drive, but the particular night that we're mentioning, I had to change my opinion of the place because I thought it was a scam. I thought there was nothing there. And then the occurrence that happened with me, Diane, Dale for obviously Paranormal Truth, and then another couple of people as well. It kind of all changed on one particular night. So yeah, I think what we'll do is we're going to do a little live stream with just the people who were part of that, and I might release that as a members only initially, and then later on I'll release it to everybody, I think. Okay, Simon. Drive back from a gig in the middle of the night, we saw a triangular shape in the sky with lights surrounding it. It seemed to follow the motorway. Even our guitarist in the other car was something. Let's go back. Was convinced. Really skeptical. He shouted, "What the job was that?" So I've never seen a UFO, and I kind of would love to, particularly the whole triangular ones. I'm really interested because people talk about that being, just a form of, terrestrial technology essentially. But I would still like to see one. Let's have a look. What I call a real ghost voice. If you want to hear a ghost, it's in the woods. I was alone, and a voice in my ear, not on equipment. I even thought it was a dog bark in the distance. Yeah, I've heard things with my own ears, and I've heard things which have only appeared on voice recorders, but I didn't hear it with my ears at the time. And yeah, it's a very strange occurrence when that happens. Let's have a look. Tigbit saying, I've lived in plenty of haunted houses. The most haunted one was a 2-story where 2 confirmed children passed in the house, and you could hear children laughing and playing with toys. That's freaky. See, I've heard children laughing before. I've never seen toys being played with. And I reckon that'd be really interesting to say in terms of what kind of toys, or how did you work out what kind of toys they were, and those kinds of things. Very, very unusual. And let's have a look. We used to have spirits vanishing in our house. My mum thought it was strange and started marking the bottles. The spirits stopped vanishing them. Don't know why. That's very odd. So what did your mum do with these marking the bottles? Just marking them to see if it was the same bottles or different ones and things like that. I love that kind of stuff. Let's have a look. My husband said his dad would sit there every night and smoke. You could hear the strike of the lighter and see the glow of the tip of a cigarette. That is so cool. So I would be like, oh man, I want to get that on video. That is really, really, really unusual. So the scariest haunted house I had, not so nice entity, heard some noises in the kitchen. So my brother-in-law and I went to check it out, and the steak sauce bottle on top of the fridge flew off and hit him. Yeah, see, these are the kind of experiences where I want to get, like a parapsychologist in, a real skeptic in, to go, come on then, explain that, and he'll give you some kind of really silly, unusual kind of excuse, which is probably more unusual than the actual event itself. Oh, okay, you are the bloke who had his pint pushed off the table at the Jamaica Inn. I've seen that footage. I didn't realize it was you, World War II Recon. But yeah, I've seen that footage. Yeah. Let's have a look. Peter Roberts saying, many years ago as a policeman in Merseyside, I parked up making my notebook up at about 4 a.m. when I saw a young man walking towards me. About 5 seconds later, about 20 to 25 yards away, he vanished. See, how does it... I mean, a little bit like Tim, because obviously Tim's a police officer as well. If you witness something bizarre, like really unusually strange like that, do you even make a note of it? Do you tell your colleagues, or do you just keep it quiet? Because as a police officer, part of me would think surely you would kind of maybe mention it to your mate, to your mate, but not really pass it on beyond that, because it would be you'd feel getting laughed at, wouldn't you? Anyway, very unusual. Let's have a look. Just in another pub you want to stay in is the top room at the Black Swan at York. I think I've heard about that one, the Black Swan, but I don't know much about it, I've got to say. Let's have a look. And again, some more from York. Golden Fleece, 35 Stonegate, both in York, had people experience things and been disturbed. I never did, but stayed with the people until they were better in themselves. It is shocking. Well, it's not shocking, I suppose, but it is, it's when things rattle people, whether it's people think it's genuine or not. It, psychologically they're fully affected, and I've seen it. People get very terrified very quickly. The video of the police talking about Enfield is sort of chilling. The lady officer seemed genuine in her fear. Absolutely, Brian. Yeah, that's that. I would love to be able to track down that police officer or those police officers involved with that. I just don't know the names. I've tried to look for them. Look at the old documentaries, and I don't think they're named. So I don't know who they are, but I'd love to be able to talk to them. Let's have a look. My dog goes after the moles in the ground. She'll fixate on a spot and growl and carry on. Those little boogers put off a big ass shadow in the dark. Well, there's a possible explanation for dark shadows then, Kim. Whether it's that or not, I don't know. Let's have a look. There we go. This is from the Jamaica Inn, the pint glass incident. Talking with Corinne at Jamaica Inn about the World War II American and judging them in an inter-service rivalry and another nation shortly after my pint left the table as almost like a response. There we go. Let's have a look. It's a Spookfest. I definitely watched the Bridgewater Triangle documentary. It's awesome. It's the area I grew up. Very haunted, and more cryptids, thunderbirds and pugwudgies and more. Devil's Footprints, Wizard of Mill Pond. That I've heard of the Bridgewater Triangle, and I've not read, not watched it or read as much about it as I probably should do, actually, because that sounds mental. I mean, I've heard of the Devil's Footprints, but it looks to me like I need to kind of look up some more of that. East Drive. Here we go. Saying bean loads, had people been hit, experienced stuff, and I've been stood next to them. Sod all. Best sleep I ever have is in haunted locations. Yeah, even I've like I said, slept really well in that place, even when things have been kicking off. Okay, let's have a look. I'm just like I said, I've gotten here for me. I heard. There we go. Come on, Steph. Let's get yours on. For me, I heard someone snapping their fingers, walking up behind me with soft footsteps. When I turned, thinking it was one of my sales reps, no one was there. I know what I heard. I love that. Let's have a look. I used what's it, Brian saying? I used to get deja vu. I still do. Everyone gets deja vu, don't they? Every so often. Let's have a look. Diane's just saying I always sleep in the haunted bed at the Skirrid. Still have experienced the dark figure that looks still haven't experienced the dark figure that looks over it. I've never. I mean, yeah. I mean, I do like the Skirrid. I just I've never had anything particularly happen there, I've got to say. Let's have a look. I'm trying to cherry pick as I'm going down. I'm trying not to kind of spend too long on certain people. So if I miss, like I say, if I miss any of yours, then I apologize. Let's have a look. What's Peter say? This is about the police officer report. I didn't hang around, told no one. About 2 years later, in a local library, waiting for the librarian on a call, I browsed some books and read a story about a ghost that appeared in that exact location. Now, how did that make you feel, Peter, when you read that afterwards? It's like, oh, okay. Maybe there's something more to it. I love that kind of stuff. The things you find out later that didn't occur at the time. So it's going to girl quit because she saw a man in the back corner in the back room and she thought someone had snuck in and was going to rob her or steal something. She even called the police with her co-worker. That's very odd. I love this kind of stuff. There we go. When little, I used to see lights, I guess like orbs, on the landing outside my bedroom. My mum saw them once and told me they were Santa's fairies, as she couldn't explain it, but didn't want to scare me. Who was I talking to about? There was a lady called Colette. I was speaking to her, one of my very first podcasts, and if you have a look on her account, on one of the eyewitness accounts, if you look at the playlist on eyewitnesses, because Colette had a very, very similar experience where she saw orbs and she was able to photograph them. And they weren't the kind of orbs that you might expect on, that flying dust and stuff, but, real genuine light emitting things that were not pollen, for instance. But yeah, that's worth looking at because I think she had a similar kind of experience as yourself. Belfast Crafty, my first experience, I was 14 and we were a religious camp, and 6 of us headed through the forest to go skinny dipping. Oh, very religious. Growls, dirty old pervert in the bushes, and then saw a white figure floating over the top of 10-foot logs. There is so much to unpack in that. There's so much to unpack. I'm not even going to go there. That's some really weird stuff. I will not judge you, Belfast Crafty. Crease Storm, living next to the White Sands military base, we saw a lot of strange things in the desert. They moved fast and weird, and the lights were odd. But was it the military or UFO? I don't know. That's fair. I love. I've got a real thing for UFO stories, I've got to say, and particularly around military bases, and I'm fascinated by that. I need to get some more UFO people on, I think. Let's have a look. Simon's in a holiday cottage when I was younger. It was a very odd feeling. Old family photos were still displayed, and my brother got annoyed at me for flicking his ear through the night, which you didn't. Then, my mum told us when we got home, she kept hearing kids' voices saying, "Get them out," over and over at 3 a.m. every night. Simon, quite a bit's happened to you, isn't it? That's a bit freaky. I love that, though. Dragon Ranger, good evening. My biggest was when I was 14, grabbed an electrical wire coming out the floor, disconnected in the room we were in, so I thought it was disconnected. It was live. Wow, I believe it was my older brother. What the hell? I mean, I don't think I'd touch electrical wire coming out the floor, I've got to say, but hey-ho. Brian saying, why have ghosts lost the ability to speak more than 3 words? Let me guess, not enough energy. Yeah, I would love to get full sentences, but I've never yet had full sentences. All I've had is kind of like a odd word here and there. But yeah, I think I'd love to hear a full sentence. I just never have. What's Mike O saying? Also, I came home from work one morning and walked in the door, and a voice said, "Nice to see you." Do you know what I love about this whole thing actually is the fact that a lot of you have had these really weird experiences, but often there's more than one experience that you guys have had. And if you amplify that and just spread that across the whole country, I think there is so much that is unreported that people just keep to themselves. You scratch the surface and people have got so many stories, which are just mad. Let's have a look. It's part of this one. Okay, so well past an infant before I was born, pressured me out of the way because it was charged and I couldn't let go, left bruise on my chest, shadow like handprints. That's very odd, Dragon Ranger as well. Let's have a look. Belfast Crafty saying, I've heard kids laughing here, blaming my son, and he's always downstairs. Heard a kid talking when my son is fast asleep. His best friend had asked, who's playing upstairs? Loads when no one else is here. That's cool. I love this kind of stuff. Let's have a look. And oh, come on. There we go. Try again. There we go. We had teddy bears and cars. The cars would roll across the floor and the teddy bears would turn on. Every time we took the batteries out of the bear, it would be up at our bedroom door the next morning. Oh, this is the children kind of playing toys. That's the same one? That's cool. So Spookfest, I'll be telling my UFO stories later at 6 at Paranormal Monkey. If you want to come in the live, my sister should be there to talk about the UFO we've seen in Maine. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, if you go on Instagram, find Paranormal Monkey on Instagram, and then just to send me a message if you've got that. Then I'll see if I can get into the live later. That'd be cool. Let's have a look. I was on a school holiday about 10 years old. We could hear church bells ringing, so the teachers decided to take us to evening song. On entering the church, everything was covered in thick, dusty cobwebs. That's cool as well. That's very cool. And I've been able to reconcile that experience. Oh, and ironically, I transferred to West Yorkshire in 2006 and ended up as the local NPT sergeant for East Drive. Oh, lucky you. Trying to escape these haunted places, you end up in the center of one, the biggest ones. After one of our cats died, movement on stairs caught my eye and I saw her run up about 7 steps towards them, then disappear. Oddly, though, black and white, she looked like a photo negative. Odd. That's very strange, Jinxie. Very odd. Of course, Mike. Of course you can. Can I mention a channel? It's called Fin365, and the videos are computer animations of people's black triangle encounters. The animation is quite crude, but giving an idea of what happened. By all means, there you go. Fin365. As a paranormal god, Mike, I shall bow down to whatever you like. And of course, there we go. And I do find that whole area really fascinating. Phil Riley. I once saw someone walk into my bedroom when I was 15 years old and they leant over me as I lay in bed. I'm convinced it was a night terror experience rather than the dead. Yeah, it sounds like sleep paralysis, particularly if you couldn't move at the time and you're kind of terrified. Weirdly, my mum had one of those when she was staying in my bed when I was away at university, and she had a night terror like that where she felt there was something demonic and stuff. Yeah, very odd. Let's have a look. You need to do an audiobook, specifically a romance story. I don't think so. No, I don't think so somehow. There we go. Let's have a look. Part one, I had a haunted Halloween plushie when I was a kid. It was a black cat, and if you pressed its paw, it'd growl and its eyes would glow green. It would turn on and off every night and scare me. Part one. I shall come on to part two later. So Spookfest saying Spookalight's definitely a thing. I've had experiences. May have not been orbs as its own light source. Many have not. Many have not orbs. Many have not. Full stop. Orbs has its own light source. I've seen them in the woods, blue, yellow, white. Yeah, very. Yeah, like I said, this lady Colette, she had a similar kind of experience. Oh, blushy yummy donut. Thank you so much. Sheba, what's that? Sheba dog laughing slightly while blushing and covering his mouth with one arm. Okay, let's have a look. Brian, people that see orbs with their eyes, not on film, is interesting. The orbs all seem to be about the same size too. Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, when you hear somebody explaining as a light source, and and it's not just something that's on a digital camera, then I think it's more interesting. Good evening, Michael. Evening. Let's have a look. My nephew suffered night terrors. Pretty real and scary to those experiencing them. Yeah, my mum was absolutely terrified when she had the one in my bedroom, and she thought there was something demonic in there with her. She felt a pain down her spine, and she couldn't move, and she felt something growl in her ear. So yeah, I think she was so scared she didn't want to move for the rest of the night until my dad came into my bedroom the next day with a cup of tea. So yeah, she was absolutely terrified of it. But yeah, very, very real to her. Caroline, the figure looked way too much like me and my dad, who he and his dad were living, and myself to be anyone else. That's very odd, Dragon Ranger. Let's have a look. Very good question, Rob. Do I, as a teacher, do you talk to your pupils about paranormal stuff or experiences? No. It's kind of like, and not even when I used to teach at a school that was haunted, and very odd things happened, and was witnessed by multiple members of staff as well, around objects being heard moving from empty rooms and things like that. And they saw a spoon levitating in the same height as the ceiling, and then dropped down in front of a child and a teaching assistant. And there was it wasn't going as a curve as if you throw a spoon. It was traveling the same height as the ceiling. And even when things like that have happened, and apparently the school had an exorcism in the past as well, like a clear, not an exorcism, like they're meant to be blessed and things like that. Yeah, well, I still wouldn't talk about it, even though I was really excited about being in there. But no. Anyway, here we go. Tigbit saying, my mum said it might just be the batteries, so I took them out, but that night it would turn on and off again. It'd done this for a couple of days. My dad told me I was being crazy, and the next day, there's a part 3. Bloody hell. Let's have a look. I'll come on to the part 3 later. Cardigan Arms and the Abbey Inn near me are two of the most haunted pubs in Leeds, allegedly. That's cool. Didn't realize quite so much has happened until I started thinking about it. Sleep with the lights on tonight. Simon, it does sound like there's a lot that's gone on in your life. I've got to say, there's a lot going on. Let's have a look. As I told Enzo, I saw a green ball of light hovering over the trees at 5:15 CST while taking my dog outside to go pee. By the time I got my phone out, it was gone. Great, great. Like, is that like green ball, like orb type thing rather than UFO? I forgot years ago, I heard someone come up in the lift at work and I heard them walk to our office. It was night shift and I was the supervisor. So I wondered who it was. There was no one there. It's amazing, actually, these kinds of stories you hear from people who have had some very, very strange occurrences. Here we go. Here's the part 3. The next day, I pulled the wires out of it, battery pack and all. That night, it went off again. So I threw it into the dog pen outside for a chew toy. I could hear it go off until he shredded it. Oh yeah, I would have burnt that thing. there's a limit. I would. It's a shame you didn't give that to the likes of Kenny Biddle because to see why the hell that's still going off. But yeah, I'd have burnt that thing a long time ago. But give it to the dog for the dog to chew up. I think that's a good move. That's that. UFO ghost cryptids had spook lights. Objects move over the years. Probably why I try and catch it on camera. Yeah, absolutely. The whole lights thing is just UFOs, ghosts, cryptids. The more I look into it, I think the more it's all interconnected. I love all that kind of stuff. I heard a full out mumbled conversation. Could distinctly tell it was two separate voices, and I have a witness that does not like to talk about it because we cannot explain it. Diane, what's that, Diane? I sound crazy if I start talking about all the spooky goings on I've witnessed. Yeah, well, you do, but you're a magnet to it. So, you made things happen in these drives. So, yeah, I think you're a bit of a magnet, much more of a magnet than I am. Bloody hell. Loads of brilliant accounts here, and that's a fraction of the world. I guess some can be explained, but most of us, it seems, experience it but shake it off. If I do, I acknowledge it, and that's it. That's a really good point. And like I said, I think just by this, just from me, how many people in the chat? There's 74 people in the chat. Out of those 74 people watching, probably about 30 of you are kind of giving your accounts, which is brilliant, right? But if you, like I said, if you multiply that by the number of people in this country and around the world, how many paranormal accounts there are, that we're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of accounts. And this is why I have, a fascination for this subject, and why as well I think parapsychologists need to take people's accounts more seriously. It's happening everywhere and you can't explain it all. You just can't. You can be as rational and skeptical as you like. You cannot explain these mad things that are happening to people all over the world. I saw a white hazy mist develop in the middle of a hallway of an old care home. I live in an active house. It's not active all the time. It comes in waves. It used to shake my daughter's bed and more. That's creepy as, Julie. That's very, very odd. I love that, though. Dawson, what's up? What did I miss? Look, you're going to have to bloody go back and I'm reading all these accounts and you've missed probably about 30 of them. So, you'll have to go back later and find them all. Have to watch it again. The thing is, with most of these experiences, they happened when absolutely unexpected and not being searched for. We've had more experiences than most investigators. I agree with that very much so, that a lot of the time we, even when investigating, stuff seemed to happen when we weren't expecting it and when we're not calling out. It tends to be any time of the day or night. There's no real rhyme or reason for a lot of these things. It can be, like I said, it can be middle of the day. It could be halfway through it. You're putting the kettle on for make a cup of tea and something will happen. The number of times things have happened when we least expect it. And it's not when we've basically sat on a chair in a haunted place calling out for something to happen, because it never, ever, ever works out like that. I've never had anything happen when I've called out. I've said with my night shadow, I don't recall not being able to move. I do remember pretending to be asleep, but the shadow figure walked towards me in the bed, and when they leant forward, What's the next bit? Oh, come on. Sometimes this thing just come on, hurry up. Oh, there we go, Phil. Come on, let's go. Oh, come on. There you go. I close my eyes for real. Let's have a look. Oh, dear me, don't I read out the sticker picture? Yes, I was wondering what the hell was going on. See, I can't see stickers on this. All I can see is like, all I can see is the descriptions. Like, what the bloody hell? I realised afterwards, Jimmy Donut, that I was actually reading the sticker picture. Absolutely, yeah, I know. I'm a bit. Let's have a look. What's Belfast Dawson saying about? I don't think it's smart to go into someone's house and call out, even if it isn't haunted. Just seems dangerous. Yeah. Let's have a look. Let's keep going down. No effing ghosts. In current house a few years back, daughter screamed she saw something in her room. Mrs. went in and both saw a small hooded shadow figure and felt something sit on my bed. Nothing there though. See, I find accounts of that much more interesting than, that's not, a night terror. That's not kind of like sleep paralysis. That's something that, where you're wide awake and you see these kinds of things happening. I find those kind of accounts much more interesting. Sleep paralysis is terrifying. Mine are audible and touch. I'm completely paralyzed while something is trying to tear the flesh off my legs and sounds like hundreds of people are whispering all around. Yeah, I've never had that, thankfully. But I've spoke to some people who have, not just my mum, and it does I mean, I went to a lady's home near Heathrow down in London, and she was convinced she had something demonic in her house, and it was sleep paralysis. And yeah, but she was terrified, absolutely terrified, and it's a very similar account to that. The Marfa lights in Texas are the same type of thing. They appear quite often. I've seen them. Nobody can explain them, but they'll curse cards and stuff as well. That's really interesting. What's Collie Crazy saying? I had a very similar experience when I was a child at my grandparents' an old miner's cottage. Oh, well done, Tim. You're getting people to like and share. Thank you so much. Mark saying, woke up one night, half asleep, and saw a person sitting in a chair. Gave it a poke, and it was a jumper and jean leg hanging off the seat. Almost made a turtle. I used to do that as a kid. When you see shadows, of your dressing gown and your curtains and things, and you can actually just frighten yourself so much because you convince yourself there's somebody looking at you from the shadows. But yeah, I do get that, Mark. What's that? I woke up recently holding onto my metal bed frame. Felt like I was being pulled up and was trying to stay down. When I woke up, I could hear what was probably a helicopter, but I dare not look out the window. That's freaky as well. Very freaky. Let's have a look. Also had hooded shadow figure walk past living room window every autumn, witnessed by multiple people. Oh, try and capture it. Try and get it on film. Bloody hell, it's the Holy Grail. But the thing is, I know it's easier said than done because these things, there's no rhyme or reason. Yes, I'm an educator at primary school, so the little ones, 7 to 11-year-olds. Okay. Nothing spookier than empty school. I'm often there after running after school clubs. Our school is supposed to be haunted after a cleaner died in the science department. Hopefully it wasn't the kids with like Bunsen burners. Let's have a look. Have I said this one? No. Sleep paralysis is petrifying. I've never had it until we moved here in my 40s. I floated above my own body in this house one night too. And no, our carbon monoxide isn't faulty. It's worth knowing. Let's have a look. Mike saying apparently capacitors can hold electrical energy and power certain devices even without batteries, obviously for very short bursts, but just something to be aware of. That's a very good point. Mike had years of frightening dreams and experiences in the house I grew up in, scratches, sleep paralysis, shadows, negative energies, and so on and so on and so on. Let's have a look. See, this is what I love as well. This is, Kim, I thoroughly agree with this kind of thing. I'm very skeptical. However, I know what I heard and saw is just not accepted, so I don't share. I thoroughly get that because I've had similar experiences where I know what I heard and I know what I saw, and nobody can convince me otherwise that it wasn't something that was genuinely paranormal. And for a long time, I had not had these kind of experiences, but it was just from hanging around in haunted locations. I suppose there's always going to be a point where I got something which I thought was genuine. But even when I've kind of mentioned these things to hardened skeptics, they're like, well, what about this? What about this? What about that? And I'm like, I'm telling you, I went through all this kind of stuff, skeptical stance, and I still, and Diane, who was there. I'm talking East Drive again here, but there is nothing that can convince me otherwise that what we witnessed on that particular night was not genuine, was not genuinely paranormal. And I've tried to rack my brain to try and work out what it could possibly have been, and I still think it's paranormal. Anyway, so I do thoroughly accept that, and I also understand why you wouldn't want to say anything, because people feel as if they'd be ridiculed. I absolutely get that as well. Just science isn't given as it has evolved, with some being incorrect. Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look. But wouldn't cynics suggest this is a paranormal channel? We are already prone to believing and are more likely to claim things have happened to us. Absolutely. I do thoroughly get that. And yeah, I suppose there is that, yeah, am I more prone? Are people more prone to believing the paranormal? Yeah, I think, funny enough, I mentioned early in the week, was it last week? I went to see Professor Chris French and Professor Callum Cooper at a book talk they were doing. Callum Cooper was talking about his book. Hang on, I've got it here. Called Telephone Calls from the Dead. So he was talking about that book. And Chris French was talking about his book, which he was on the podcast about, actually, about science of weird shit. And it was really interesting to listen to them, because they were talking about, because Chris French is involved with Uncanny as well. For those in the UK that know about Uncanny, stage show, podcast, TV series, all of that. And at the end of the stage tour that they did around the country, at the end they asked the audience members who was on Team Skeptic and who was Team Believer. And it doesn't matter what the skeptics say, the vast majority of the people in the audience are saying Team Believer. Doesn't matter what kind of skeptical argument. So I think there is always going to be a tendency for people to believe in the paranormal, even when there's a skeptical argument against it. But yeah, very interesting. Oh, bless you, Kim. Thank you so much for the super chat. I love these tea parties next to one of members for a gifted. Yeah, thank you so much, Kim. That really, really does help the channel. So thank you. Let's have a look. Belfast Crusher, I commented this on Dave Schrader's video about folklore, and it sounds insane, but I lost an hour leaving my dad's house and arriving for a bus. I walked down a lane that has a fairy tree. Now, I want to get people from Ireland. I mentioned to Barry Fitzgerald. Some of you may know Barry Fitzgerald because he used to be one of the team leaders of Ghost Hunters International going way back when. I've spoken to him before, and I said I want to get him back on to get an Irish perspective on fairies, the fae, leprechauns, Irish mythology around that area, because I find it fascinating and I don't know anything about it. And actually, I know the Irish take it very, very seriously, and will divert roads around certain areas if they believe it's got kind of links to the fairies and leprechauns and things. So yeah, I find it all very, very interesting. Steph, what's that? I do know that any of us that experience things always go back to reenact it and try to debunk. Few reports we have, but lots of them we cannot, and some are the same recurring sounds or sightings. Absolutely. And that's what I think anybody who's kind of interested in this tries to go about things skeptically. Driving to work one day, I braked heavily due to a dust cart shooting out of a hidden side road. There was nothing there, but as I started to accelerate, a dust cart shot out of the hidden side road. What? Hang on. That's weird. That's really weird. I find that fascinating. So I had no interest in the paranormal. I was looking for burglars. I was actually writing in my notebook when I had my experience. I want answers now. Don't believe without evidence. I get it. I absolutely get it. Particularly if you've had something and you've gone logically minded, it bugs you, and I know I know it would bug you because it's the kind of stuff that would bug me as well. I've been bugged by stuff that's happened to me. I've heard strange hollering in the woods and even found strange tree structures, and I wasn't even aware that my area had Bigfoot activity until Laura's interview with Sasquatch Secrets. That's really interesting, Michael. I mean, I love the whole Sasquatch thing, I've got to say, the whole Bigfoot thing. I think it's fascinating. End of the day, it's irrelevant if we believe accounts from people. If they are terrified, they are terrified. End of. Natural causes, external sounds doesn't matter. To that person, it's real. Absolutely. And I think we need to be mindful of that always when discussing these kinds of things. And I hope actually this is kind of a nice forum for people to realize that, I'm not the kind of person to be laughing at these accounts, because actually in so many cases, people are not believed. I've had things, my family's had things going way back when I was a kid, and my mum and dad didn't talk about the podcast that we had because they didn't bloody know what the hell was going on. And they certainly didn't talk about it because they thought they'd get laughed at. So they kind of kept it to themselves. So, yeah, I think it's very important that actually people are treated with a bit of respect and, a bit of dignity, getting across their views. Right. When I was a teenager, I woke up in the middle of the night. My bed was shaking. No one was around in the room. Couldn't figure out what it was. Found out in the morning we had a small earthquake. Yeah, I had an earthquake a little while back. That was very interesting. We don't really have earthquakes in the UK, but yeah, the earthquake, this epicenter was right near my home, and it collapsed my chimney. It was very odd that waking up to that. And the next day I was on the news. Even weirder. Let's have a look. Weird Fox, yeah. Lou's right. It's down to us to comfort and ground people who are scared, safeguarding. That's why I was a bloody good team leader. Absolutely. Yeah, because it can be very, very terrifying. A friend told me a story. He was woken up in the middle of the night to someone sitting on his bed. He freaked out, managed to coax the ghost outside. It was a drunk guy had wandered in from the street. That's bloody mental. Although I've got to say, there was one time I was over here at my home. This is when my kids were little, and a one-eyed bloke walked in. My front door leads straight directly into my living room, and a guy with one eye who sounded like a pirate. I am being absolutely genuinely honest here. A one-eyed guy who sounded like a pirate just walked into my living room when my kids are sat there on the sofa whilst we were watching TV. Honestly, it was bloody terrifying. So yeah, I get that. There's some very, very odd people out there. Does anyone in chat drive a Tesla? If yes, have you driven through a graveyard to see if the vehicle's camera AI picks up any people walking that aren't there? Yeah, I've heard about that. This kind of weird Tesla thing. I've seen people kind of do videos on that. I don't think it's anything, to be honest, but it's a little bit like an SLS camera, but it is very unusual that it seemingly picks up on things like that. We had video of a large white mist moving in our hallway for 4+ hours while we were out. It disappeared into our bedroom wall as we pulled into the driveway. Caroline, that is awesome. Have you still got that video? Have you still saved it? Please tell me you've got it somewhere. I'd love to see it. Jed Morris, I have a number of stories from a 5-year period in a particular house, which are too long for here. But what I will say is I went from feeling I was genuinely losing my mind to a believer. Yeah, I kind of, like I say, I can, I agree. When you, particularly if you're kind of skeptically minded, and then you have to kind of face the fact that something that you can't explain has happened, then it does play with your mind a lot. I know some people who have had experiences that they can't explain, yet they are hardened skeptics, saying, well, I don't know what it was, but it won't be a ghost. I find that fascinating, yeah. I had to change my opinion from being hardened skeptic to, it's haunted. And it was quite a hard thing for me to do, actually, because I was quite happy and confident in my skepticism. Shelley's saying I haven't experienced anything, but hearing these accounts are fascinating. I agree. It's the fact that there's not that many people watching. 71 people watching this. Like I said, out of those 71, probably about 20 or 30 are commenting. Now, yeah, and I keep going back to this because I do find it really, really interesting. If you open this up to a whole town or a whole city, percentage-wise, how many people have experienced something paranormal, supernatural, or unusual, and just don't want to talk about it. And I find that as fascinating as the accounts themselves. I think sometimes when you try to say the things you experience out loud, it sounds crazy. That's why I kept my experiences when youngest to myself. Yeah, fully understand that. Absolutely. Let's have a look. Can you put a link up for Jed? Yes, I shall. I shall do that. 1 second. And there is the link in case you want to go live and talk to me live rather than just telling me on through chat. So if you actually want to come on, if you want to go, like say, if you've got a laptop, a PC, tablet, anything like that with a camera on it, and you want to talk to me on camera, Barmy, just literally kind of make a note of that, and then you can come on and talk to me properly. It's about your. If it's a big experience and you're kind of happy to do that, then yeah, bar means if you want to do that, that's absolutely fine. Because I realize that some people's experiences are quite detailed and it's quite hard to get that all in if it's something that's particularly fascinating. But you don't have to. There's no pressure. Don't worry. I'm just going to read some of them on the chat if anybody's making a note of that. Kim, I've never been scared of it. I learned early to ground myself. I always went and investigated each and every one of my personal paranormal experiences. I ran toward it and found no proof. Interesting. Lots of people saying hi, hey, all, hello. There's so many things I've experienced that most don't believe or would say it was all in my head. Everything I've ever experienced has been 100% real, from ghost to vision I had. That's a very good point. And we're not bonkers, we're just not believed. This is my first live, but it sure feels like a safe spot to me. That's lovely. Thank you, Kim. Michael saying have also found 2 undiscovered Native American conical mounds out in the 1,000 acres worth of forest that I was given permission to investigate, and my area is where the Trail of Tears originated. Wow, that's cool. It's like a paraholic meeting room. Hi, my name's Tim, and I've had an experience. Yeah, there's a bit of that going on, isn't there? But it's a safe place. We'll give warm hugs to everybody. Thank you for sharing. Let's have a look. Yeah, Kim's saying feel very welcome. Lots of friends from other channels, absolutely. And it's so lovely to see so many names that I've seen in this chat from the kind of put across their views in other channels as well. It's just nice. Julie things move in my house, lights switch off. I've seen shadow figures. I just act like I see nothing and nothing is wrong. I hate it when I lay down and I hear music playing. Oh, that's weird. So where does the music seemingly come from? Is it just in the atmosphere, or is it coming from a particular area? But you need to tell me more, Julie. That's amazing. So Tigbit saying, like, one time my brother, husband, and others were chased out of an abandoned cemetery in a national forest once. My brother caught the entity on camera peeking out from behind a tree. Wow. Let's have a look. Belfast Crafty. If I hadn't had personal experiences, I don't think I'd be a believer. But I've had too many experiences for there to be nothing. I've had them in different locations too, and with different people. Yeah, I think there's definitely something going on. I'm sorry. I'm more skeptical of the people who say that all of this can be explained. Genuinely, I think it's just like I say, fascinating. Oh, Kaza, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. Thank you so much for that. Wow. If you've been given a membership from Kaza, just make sure you say thank you to her, because that is so lovely. Thank you, Kaza. Let's have a look. I know I'll put that thing back on. Hang on a second, if I can find it. There you go. I'm just going to carry on reading. So Wayne saying, I'll definitely come on in the future streams, but I'm not a pretty sight to sound rough. Oh, bless you, Wayne. Things can't be that bad. Has anyone come on the live yet? No, Dawson, they haven't. So why don't you make a note of that link, Dawson? You can come in and chat to people. By all means, I think people are a little bit wary about coming on and showing their face, but that's absolutely fine. Anyway, you've got a studio set up. It's easy for you. You can get your ass on here. Let's have a look. Sorry, late to the party. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Is that Corinne? Good evening, Corinne, if it's you. love to convert somebody. They think I'm just nuts. Yeah, be the first one, Dawson. Yes, Shelley, absolutely. So yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm putting it out there. I'm being kind of putting out there for anybody who wants to come on, but I think we're all a bit nervous, so it's absolutely fine. Michael saying part one, the one experience that got me into this was I was 13, staying at a relative's house when I was awakened by what sounded like heavy footsteps and whistling. That's cool. Brian said there's something going on, but I don't think it's everyone thinks. Science will catch up. Ah, excellent. Here we have somebody.
Hello.
Hello. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Oh, this is real surreal. This is weird.
Well, it's good to have you on. Thank you, Simon, for coming on. Right. So it gives me a chance to shut up, basically, and you can tell people your experience. Go for it, Simon.
Well, basically, over the weekend just gone, the Saturday night, we went to Thackeray Medical Museum in Leeds, which is a really grim place. It's a horrible place, and we did a ghost hunt with Haunted Adventures. Really wasn't expecting anything to happen. There were the usual bumps and bangs and things, but the thing that kind of really freaked me out. Jo was there as well. She's bumped into things in the night. That's my girlfriend.
Right. Yeah.
She was there as well, but she didn't take part. There was loads of vigils, loads of events and bits and bobs going on. The one thing I took part in was basically the typical put your finger on a glass on a wooden table and see what happens. And it's the first time I've ever done anything like that. But the thing was, the glass, I have props with a glass like that.
Yeah.
The glass was upside down on the table, and it had like a cat ball in it, like a little cat toy which lights up when it's moved, and that was
oh yes, I know the cat toys. Go on.
And there were about 4 of us, and we all put our finger on like that, and I thought, all right, yeah, we're going to push it.
Yeah.
But they said, no, don't do that. Put your finger that way around, so your fingernail is touching on the back of your finger. So we did that, and then they turned the lights off, and I thought it was moving at first, but when the lights went back on, I could, as your balance kind of goes and things, and my arm was getting tired, my finger was moving on the glass, which is a really weird effect. You feel like the glass is moving, but it was my finger.
Yeah.
And as I realized that, I looked at everybody else's finger. They were doing the same thing. So basically, long story short there, everybody's fingers were sliding around the top of the glass. Nobody was getting any purchase on there whatsoever. One of the people who ran the place, he says, I'll join in as well. He put his finger on like that. And I was like, okay, here we go. But then he disappeared off again. And about 10 minutes went by, and they're doing all the calling out and all that kind of thing. We had a very dim light on. And then all of a sudden, the glass moved. And I thought, oh, okay. But you sort of see it on TV and things, and you're like, oh, someone's pushing it, someone's doing that, someone's doing the other.
Yeah.
But for the glass to move in the direction that it moved, it would have had to have been me that would have been pushing it. And my finger was sliding all over the place on the top. So there was no way it was me. People say, oh, you were doing it micromuscular, you were doing it without you realizing it. If it was, then I really don't know how from a slippery finger it was doing. So that was really, really peculiar for me. And that was a bit of one of those sort of moments where I went from like, oh, this is never going to happen and there's nothing here kind of thing, to actually, that's really strange. How the heck did that happen? And it kept moving. It kept sort of moving sort of around. And there were cases where the glass wasn't moving, but the cat ball inside was moving on its own.
Right. Okay. So the glass was stationary whilst the ball was moving within it.
Yeah. And even though it was moving and lighting up, that's kind of what they wanted it to do, kind of thing. I just knocked the glass there. That wasn't paranormal. But yeah, the glass was moving, it was lighting up, which is what they wanted to happen. But it was also moving so slowly that it wasn't triggering the light inside, so you could see it moving without anything else sort of happening as well. That was just really odd, because while it was going on, I was watching everybody's fingers, making sure nobody was sliding, nobody was pushing, all the fingers were sliding, making sure nobody was knocking the table, everybody was stood far back. And yeah, that was just like really, really peculiar. The only thing I can possibly think, and I've Googled this and I've got answers saying, yes, it could have been, no, it won't have been. But we were told beforehand to all go like this to build our energy, cheesy. Yeah. Everybody was doing this before they did it. So I thought, well, the only explanation I could think is it was some kind of static electricity. But things that I've read online since, it says that it must be 2 different substances. It can't be your hands, that doesn't generate static.
Yeah.
But then I thought, well, different people doing it, would that be different substances? Does it transfer into a glass? Some Google says yes, some Google says no. I mean, what do you guys think? I have no idea. It was weird.
I'll throw. I mean, I mean, obviously, kind of like because I used to we did a documentary about Ouija boards. I'm very skeptical of Ouija boards, and I know a lot of people are very skeptical of Ouija boards and glass movement and things like that. However, I've also met people who have had some very, very unusual experiences using Ouija boards, whether that's through glass divination or whether that's through a planchette and things like that, where they would swear blind that the information that was coming out of the Ouija board, for instance, the talking board, could not have been known by the people around the table, which I find that interesting.
Yeah.
And when different people, you know, who knew nothing about the location use it, they get information that's particularly pertinent to a particular person. I find that really interesting. I mean, me personally, I would still go with the idiomotor effect, even though because the part and parcel of it is it's subconscious, completely subconscious. So you absolutely will stand there going, I'm not pushing this.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll be like, this is very strange because I'm not pushing this. But you know, that they would still, like you say, the micromuscular movement of idiomotor effect is like it's very, very unusual and it's very, very interesting. But what I find particularly interesting is the movement of the cat ball within the glass if the glass was not moving.
Yeah.
I find that interesting, particularly. Yeah. And if it was a flat surface as well, completely flat surface, then I find that more. Always find it more interesting if people are not physically touching it and then it's moving. You know, so I mean, like I say, so I love that kind of experience. I will open it out to people on the chat. What do they think of Simon's experience with you know, the fact that he used his finger on the upside down and the glass was moving? It must only have been coming from him, you believe, that in terms of the direction of the glass and the cat ball inside it. What do we think, guys?
Interestingly, there was a Ouija board activity as well, which we didn't take part in, but we watched them do it, and the planchette was very, very looked very light. It seemed to glide a lot more easily across the polished surface of the Ouija board, whereas the glass on it was kind of like a rough table, I want to say, the same kind of texture like a chopping board, so it would have been harder for it to move than something gliding over a you know, a smooth surface. I mean, my mate did the Ouija board, and he came off after it and just went, that was bullshit. He was pushing it. You know? So he was like that blunt with it. But the glass just seemed very different because of the sort of gliding of the fingernail on there. I mean, if it was micromuscular, I mean, it probably could have been, but it really, really didn't feel like that. It's really strange. So,
fabulous. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on, Simon. Tell us what your experience is. So thank you for that. And like I say, thank you for coming to be the first one to be brave enough to come on here and chat to me. Thank you.
Hey, well, thank you very much.
Cheers. Right there. Let's carry on with a couple more. I'm going to keep going for a little bit long. So Corinne's saying, not paranormal, but thrilling the first time. Boards are not real. Only the Rachel Hayward experiment with Xena cards. I can't explain that one. That's very good. Like I say, yeah. So, what do you make of Simon's experience? Are you as skeptical as me? Do you think there was something more to it than what was going on? No effing ghost was saying, could the table have been knocked for the cat ball to light up? That's a very good point. You know, any kind of small knock could have made it go off, possibly. Who else? Who have I got? Oh Christ, it's Dawson. Hey Dawson, you right?
How are you doing?
Oh, really good, really good. Right then, Dawson. Now you're on. Your weirdest paranormal experience, please. That's what I want you on here for.
So I was actually gonna hop on first to try to break the ice, so maybe people felt a little more comfortable. But the other guy, he did, he broke the ice, and he had a really cool one.
Yeah.
So I'm not really gonna do my weirdest one. I'm gonna do my first one. And so when I was 12 or 13, my grandpa had passed away. And I was at my grandma's house where he had passed away, and I just randomly woke up in the middle of the night, sometime past midnight, and it was, I always 1, 2, 3 o'clock, something like that. I really don't know. This was really before I had like a smartphone or anything. Like it wasn't a thing really for me to check it.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I just stood up and I started stretching. And it was 2 months after my grandpa had died. And I just feel just on my shoulder like a slap and a grab. And he used to always do that to me. And like it would always like piss me off. I'd always be like, quit doing that, you know?
Yeah.
And when it happened, I just I was in the living room, and that's where he always stayed. Is he There's a couch and there's a chair, and when I got up out of the chair because I was sleeping in the chair, I was like stretching. That happened. I ran to my grandma's room and was like, I sound like Courage the Cowardly Dog, basically,
Yeah.
whenever he's trying to explain some shit he saw to Muriel and Eustace. And she just so calmly, she woke up and she heard me talking about it and she just goes, "Oh, it was your poppy," and then just went back to bed. And I was like, what? Like, you're just gonna go back to sleep after that? Like, he's dead. What do you mean it's him?
Yeah.
And so I went to the bathroom because that's like why I had to wake up in the first place, and sat back on the chair, and I just like wide awake for quite a while because I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then I always felt a little bad because I ran away,
Yeah.
and I was like, if that was him, like I just took off, and it never happened again. Never happened to anybody else. Nobody in that house ever had a like paranormal experience other than that one time. And I get a text from my phone that's from my grandpa's number that says today is Poppy's birthday. So
Wow.
it was
Yeah.
past midnight, so it was his birthday, but that one wasn't paranormal. My sister broke her phone and she was using my grandpa's phone because it was
Oh,
still like
okay.
active.
Yeah.
And she texted me and just she happened to be up at that same time, which is a little weird, but she had texted me and said that.
That was, I mean,
And
like,
so
so like since then, obviously you've done a lot, involved with the paranormal. Do you still look back on that and go, that was a genuine experience? Or do you look back at that and go, yeah, that was probably just, I kind of woke up, my shoulder was hurting, and I'm just kind of linking it to my granddad. What do you
So
think?
I've thought about it, and to this day I still don't think like it was a ghost. I don't think it was my grandpa's ghost. I think my grandpa just stopped by. I know that that sounds a little weird, but I don't think he haunts the place. I don't think he ever haunted the place. I think I just woke up. It was his birthday, and he stopped by and kind of messed. Whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah,
That was probably me. But and just like messed with me like he always did. He was always trying to like piss me off and everything. So that's one that like I like to tell because it was way before like YouTube and all this. Like when I first started
yeah.
doing ghost hunting, I didn't believe in like ghosts. I was never like against it, but I didn't believe in that. I was like, let's go see if this stuff's real. And it was just that one experience I had, and I never looked at it as like ghost or paranormal. I was just like, oh, my grandpa stopped by.
That's weird. That's what I mean.
It,
It's like it is really interesting. I'm just gonna because I'm just gonna open up and let's bring him in. I've got Dragon Ranger waiting as well. So, hey there, Dragon Ranger. How are we doing? Can you hear me? Okay.
Oh, not too bad. I had muted my mic. I'm on my phone.
Oh, there we go. That's fine. Yeah, as long as we can hear you, that's all good. So, come on then, Dragon Ranger. Tell us your
There,
experience.
that should be better.
It's a good session. This is like a safe place. It's a safe environment.
and I can leave if you want. I don't want to make you like uncomfortable.
You always make me uncomfortable, Dawson.
Yeah.
No, you're there for the time being. Are you okay there, Dragon Ranger? Can you so what? There you go. Are you kind of got organized? Yeah, that'll do, Dragon Ranger. That'd be fine. Stay as you are like that. That's no problem. Yeah, okay. Did you want to just say
for some reason when I tried to go the other way, it was losing connection.
Oh, okay. Just want to say what's was
But
your
yeah, I figured I'd elaborate on mine.
Yeah, go for it.
I was the one that I grabbed a live wire coming up out of the floor. We had just moved into the house. And I grabbed that wire and it was live and appeared in front of me. I mean, look, my age, just a little older, looked just like myself and my dad at the time. And he just, both hands pushed against my chest, bruising my chest. Of course, the electricity knocked me across the room.
Yes, I mean that's pretty wild. I mean, in terms of like, I mean, obviously, did you not? I mean, I'm assuming when you picked, with the wire and stuff, did you not realize it was live and stuff like that? I mean, because
no, I didn't realize it was live. I mean, it was a piece of wire like inside your walls, and it was just coming out of the floor. It wasn't connected to anything in the room. So we figured, okay, it's not connected. Somebody was going to connect it, didn't do it, and
I mean,
so we didn't realize it was connected.
So that's like I said. I mean, to be kind of knocked out like that by electrical wire, I mean, that's pretty mad. But do you think that was kind of paranormal or not?
Well, like I said, in front of me, and my dad was at work. Mom, me, and my younger brother and two younger brothers and sister were the only ones there. And in front of me appeared, like I said, probably 16-year-old, looked identical to like me and my dad, because we look a lot like each other.
Yeah.
And just kind of pushed me like, like kids do when they in school do when they're wanting to fight, and they kind of push off your chest. Except he did it hard enough that he left 2 bruises on my chest in the shape of handprints, and it knocked me loose of the wire, which, of course, the electricity then knocked me across the room.
Wow. Okay, so you've got like proper handprint kind of size marks from something kind of pushing you away from this wire then, essentially. I mean, have you kind of thought...
And they look like handprints.
Yeah. So have you kind of like tried to kind of, rather than it just being electric shock and it was just the electric shock of it, you felt as if someone had pushed you out of the way of this electric wire, essentially, to kind of save your life?
Yeah.
So
like I said,
any theories as to who it might have been?
The only one I figure it could have been would have been my older brother, who I never met. He died as an infant 2 years before I was born. He died of SIDS.
Yeah. So that's fascinating.
Because my dad and my granddad were both alive at the time, so it couldn't have been them.
Wow. That is crazy. And did you have anything after that? Or was that the one experience that you had where you thought it was your older brother?
No, I've got other experiences after, but nothing as major.
Yeah.
That's one of the weirdest ones I had was I worked for a haunted trail attraction here in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had a little bit of ghost hunting equipment. I had a millimeter, I had a spirit box, one of those wristwatch-looking EVP recorders. And we decided, just for the hell of it, to, after we had shut all the power down to all the lights at the main, we went out the trail. 2 of us had the EMF detectors, because one of the other guys had a K2 as well as my millimeter. And because they had some weird experiences out there. So we went out, figured we'd go out, check this out, see if we could figure anything out. Well, we got out, we were probably, the trail is probably a mile long. Of course, it twists and turns and stuff, but we were probably a quarter mile away from the house. And any power source, like I said, we had the mains thrown, so there was absolutely no power out there. His K2 was absolutely spiked. My millimeter hit like 120 milligauss at one point. So we kicked on the spirit box, and I had disconnected my aerial, so we weren't getting radio stations. and we had a voice coming through that we're almost sure was one of the people with us. It was their grandmother trying to contact them and let them know, hey, I'm all right.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, I'm gonna go to you then, Dawson, because I know you like using gadgets and stuff, right? So can I explain that one? Obviously I'm like I don't use kind of K2s, but and stuff like that. But you kind of use K2s, I'm sure, right? In terms of,
So
have you used a one in the middle of nowhere where there's no electrical kind of wiring or anything like that, and you still get K2s going off?
So whenever like I use it, I kind of just like hold it around like mainly for fun. Now I do believe in like the REM pod and the music box and stuff like that, but the K2 for the most part is like you have something in your hand, so you don't fidget, and you can set it down and you can still ask. Um but I always got my phone, I always got my camera, I always have other equipment. So like I don't think I've ever been anywhere like in the middle of nowhere without a phone or anything for it to go off. No. I have
That's
had I just went to this place in Texas, and it went off a couple times, and on this side of the house there was no power, and I kind of jokingly like I kept saying like, "Can you make it go off so I can stop doubting you? I want to see
yeah.
if this is you." And it wouldn't go off, and I made this joke. I was investigating with this girl, and I was like, uh if you can spike this up to red just right now, um I'll go like get handcuffed to the bed upstairs.
Hang on.
And I
Whoa. Hang on. I don't want to know about your kind of weird sexual
Kinky
no,
kinks.
no,
ghost.
no,
Kind
no. It
of
wasn't sexual. It
Jesus,
wasn't sexual. It
Dawson.
wasn't sexual. Um, and so it didn't go off. And then she had said like, "I'll go get handcuffed in the bed up there." And this place is apparently there was gambling and there was like hooking going on upstairs in that bedroom. And so I turned the camera to myself, like as I was about to joke and be like, "Whoa, like we're getting weird on this video," and the thing just spikes up to red. And it was a little weird. I got it on a different camera that was pointed at it, but I mean, we were in a house in the middle of a town. Like, it really could have been anything, but it was kind of cool. It was
That is
the
very cool.
odds of it happening were just like extremely low.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, Dragon Ranger, thank you so much for telling us about kind of your kind of like story and stuff. I just thought it was like an electrical thing, and it was actually a lot more than that. I think that's really interesting, and the fact that you got some kind
Yeah,
of
no,
weird electrical stuff in the middle of
for
nowhere
a
is really
while I
interesting
thought
as
it
well.
was just electrical, and then I later I was looking in the mirror, saw those handprints. It's like, okay, that wasn't just a hallucination because I was getting electrocuted.
Yeah, that's so cool. Right, thank you so much
But
for that.
in
Thank you, Dragon.
response to Brian there, me versus Zach Baggins on the
Yeah,
millimeter one, that millimeter had read 0 for the 15 minutes prior.
that's good as well. That's interesting. They read nothing at all until that point. That's cool. Anyway, thank you so much, Dragon. And I'll speak to you a bit more in the chat. Cheers. Right, as Dawson, thank you. Like I say, that's cool. And like I say, I'm just gonna see if, because like I say, this last gets them tells them it'll be spooky. There we go. Yeah. People say no, Dawson never changed.
Jeez. Well, I always bring handcuffs with me because I always think like, what if
Of
there's an
course you do.
opportunity where we can like get handcuffed in a dark room by yourself and just piss yourself, so scared. I think fear and emotions have a lot to do with it. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
That's
but
cool.
yeah, I'll hop out of here and let other
Yeah.
people hop on if they want to hop on.
Okay. Cheers, man. Anyway, thank you for coming on, Dawson. Really appreciate it.
Yep, thanks. Thanks for having
Okay.
me.
Right, let's get this back on. There we go. Where am I? Where the hell is that thing gone? There we go. No, that's still not right. Anyway, I've lost one of the screens. Don't matter. And there we go. I'm just going to go back into the chat. So listen, you're digging a hole deeper. Oh no, that's just like. Let's have a look. Did Kenny Biddle know those handcuffs he wore were used? Ew, I don't want to go there. Let's not even go there, shall we? And get it. It's just like, let's just go. Yeah, I know. The chat's gone very smutty now that Dawson's, thankfully Dawson's gone now, so it should all just get back to how it should be. I think what I'm going to do, because we've been going for a while, Dawson needs a cat ball gag for investigation purposes. Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah, I think so. I think what we'll do is, like I say, because we've been going for nearly 2 hours, I'm gonna, like I say, I think we'll stop fairly soon, unless people have got any more kind of weird and wonderful kind of paranormal experiences, or if we get any of the last people want to kind of come in and just tell us about their experiences. But yeah, thank you for Dawson for coming in. Thank you to Dragon Ranger as well. Like I said, people going, amazing beard, Dragon Ranger. Yeah, people are loving your beard, man. I love the beard, the beer, and the smokes. It's beyond awesome. Let's have a look. Was it? And Steph said, and blindfolds work to ease the fear. Oh lordy lord. Let's have a look. What's Dawson saying? Hang on, let's have a look. Hang on. I will come back to you, Alyssa. Not the dirty-minded one here. Handcuffs are used for so much more than the nasty. Okay, Alyssa saying, I volunteered to go as a call in for those of any age who are about to pass alone and had no one to be with them, but what they say before they pass or as they are passing has turned many skeptics I know. Oh, okay, that's what I mean. Yeah, I find that really interesting, that some of the last moments or some of the last things that people have said before they go, and that where they feel as though they've seen the husband or seen something like that. I've heard that quite a lot, actually, and it's really interesting. Let's have a look. I don't want to tell my stories. I'm a nurse. We can't tell people this stuff without getting under crazy watch. Yeah, I get it. It's probably similar kind of thing. If you're in a kind of any kind of role of responsibility, that you feel as though you can't really talk about that kind of stuff. So look, Chris, sorry, I'd love to say, but I'm at work. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. Did I see somebody paid for a membership? I'm sure I saw that, but I did not catch who did it. Oh, Belfast Crafty. Thank you, Belfast Crafty, for doing that. I saw a flash of green, but I didn't see who had done it. So thank you so much for that, Belfast Crafty. Thank you. Let's have a look. And like I said, we're finishing fairly soon, guys. So like I said, if you've got any kind of last few little experiences and things, then by all means, let me know. And otherwise, we'll start kind of wrapping up, I think, fairly soon. Let's have a look. Dragon Ranger story makes me curious about a potential out-of-body thing, a separate consciousness saving him. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's a bit like the soul kind of saving him at a moment where he might get electrocuted or some kind of other thing kind of coming in. But very weird that, Faith, good evening, Faith. Happy to catch some of the live YouTube overlords. Oh, I didn't need to be subscribed to you, apparently. Anyway, thank you, Faith, for coming in. Really appreciate it. I think you came in during Dragon Ranger was talking, so I didn't say hi to you. But Kim, nice to see you live, Dragon. You're the first to welcome me into this whole crazy community. Isn't it just? Do you know, I love the fact that just from Simon coming on and Dragon Ranger coming on, I can put names to faces now. And I love that so much. Let's have a look. Oh, so look, I missed part 2 and part 3 about the boot steps. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, Mike, thank you so bloody hell, Mike. You are just so generous, Mike. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships. If you've been gifted a membership from Mike, just please make sure that you say a big thank you to Mike, because he is an absolute gent, this man. And like I say, he really does help the channel hugely. So thank you so much for that, Mike. Really do appreciate it. Let's have a look. So yeah, Harbour Tea Rooms and Adrian Real Evidence. Well done. Thank you so much. Let's have a look. Come on, Tim, what are you saying here? Here we go. Come on. There we go. I'm happy to share the spooky police call sometime, just not tonight. I looked like a truck hit me, reversed and smashed me again, then beat me with a dead badger. Fair enough, Tim. So yeah, I think that's all we need to know. Yeah, come on when you look a bit more respectable, will you? Yeah, you definitely need to come in. But like I said, will be getting, like I say, Diane on fairly soon to talk about East Drive and what happened with us, because I think out of all our experiences and my experiences, that was one that still to this day has been my best ever paranormal experience. And I will, say as skeptical as I am, that it was a paranormal experience, though I think we definitely need to talk about it. James from Staffordshire Paranormal has an interesting theory about astral projection, and it could be what they meet on an investigation. And he said he used to be able to intentionally. Oh, okay. Let's have a look. What's this, Kim? You can't put my face to a shirt between my southern slang and bougie appearance. I would never do alive. Come on. You're all welcome. It's absolutely welcome to come on. Rob, I've got what's that? Me and you need to chat sometime. Rob, I don't know about that. That'd be a bit scary. Anyway, let's have a look. Yeah, Tim has a way with words, doesn't he? The best description I've ever heard, not the badger. Yeah, I know. Yeah, absolutely, Mike. It is a great community, and it's just it's so nice to hear other people's experiences. I loved hearing everyone's experiences tonight. Been fun. All keep safe and sleep with your lights on. Quite right too. Let's have a look. And Dawson, I'm editing, but I'm going to stay to listen. I love hearing your 30 East Drive stuff. When I make my way over here, it's literally my one goal in the UK is to hit 30 East Drive with Justin. Thank you. Yeah, Dawson, it'll be an absolute pleasure to investigate you. It'd be so cool to see you over here in the UK. Like I said, I can't guarantee 30 East Drive will be, active, because it hasn't been in the past. But if we get anything like I have had in the past, then it would be amazing. But yeah, I definitely, like I say, it's definitely going to be happening where we kind of go into a bit more detail. And what I also love about, and I know I bang on about bloody East Drive, and I apologize now if people are sick of it, but the fact that Diane was there with me, and there's a couple, quite a few other people there who, a couple of those hopefully can also come onto the live and verify what I'm saying. It's not just me pretending that something happened. Then people can actually back up what I said is also more interesting as well. And that'd be really cool. Let's have a look. Like I say, I'm going to do this for another 5 minutes, guys. Then I'm going to stop it after about 2 hours. I think would be a good thing. We're on 1 hour 54. Speaking of astral projection, I saw my brother and his girlfriend run from their room to mine while I was on the sofa. They were sleeping at the time. It was strange. No shit, it was strange. My God, if you see them and they're, what? How do you kind of get over that? That's really weird. I love that. So it's been really good hearing everyone's stories. To do this every week. I think most people have told this main stories. I don't think there'd be a huge amount to talk about, but yeah, I do love kind of opening this up every so often to people. Because I don't want this to be about me. The whole point of this channel is to kind of, and the whole point of the Chimps Tea Party thing is particularly, is I love hearing from you guys at home, because I never get a chance to do this when I've got a guest on. That's the whole point of me doing this. And so, so it becomes like a really nice community thing. And so I want to do this more often. And like I say, and every week, I think I'm going to try and have a different angle or a different subject matter to talk about. And then we can share our thoughts and ideas and opinions and things like that. And sometimes we'll maybe just talk about who I've had on the podcast if they've been particularly controversial or something. Let's have a look. Dawson will bring the handcuffs. I do hope not. Yeah, please do keep the. I don't know if you'll get. I don't know if you'll get the handcuffs past. You get past customs with handcuffs in your bags, maybe. But yeah, leave in America for God's sakes. Get Spike in East Drive. Just for those who don't realize, Spike is Lou's dog, and it's an amazing dog. And I would love to get a proper dog in East Drive to kind of sniff out what's going on in there. If there's anything going on in that place, I would love to see the dog's reaction in 30 East Drive. Let's have a look. That's what I try doing. Have my friends and sister come on to back up my experience. Absolutely, it's a spook fest. Yeah, it's Reno, because if it's, one person seeing something is one thing, but when there's multiple people who've witnessed the same thing, I think that's genuinely just a lot more interesting. Let's have a look. Phil Riley, the weirdest thing I've seen at 30 Strive is Griff getting his chest pushed as he slept. It is a very odd one, and I can't explain that. I've got to say, it is a strange one. I saw that the day after that happened, before they'd released it, and he'd already been checked over medically, and there was nothing medically wrong with him. So I find that very interesting. So I have no answers for that. People in the medical field have more paranormal experiences than anyone, but as nurses, doctors, first responders, we can't be the one that looks like we're crazy. But we've all had experiences. That is a superb statement in itself. The fact that so many people in the medical field have had weird experiences and they just can't say anything about it. Let's have a look. Sam Hain, wish I'd come on now. Would have been interesting to hear your take on my experiences, maybe some other time. Yeah, look, every other Thursday, I'll be opening, this forum, this kind of chat, whether we'll be talking about paranormal stuff or we'll always try and link it. So whether it's kind of hauntings or whether it's your experiences and things like that, I think it's just a really great place to kind of share experiences, for me to talk to you, or to kind of have a debate or an argument or whatever it is, and just get over things. But I think as things grow and as the channel develops, I think it'd just be a nice community to kind of, just how, just be able to share this kind of stuff and not feel you're going to get laughed at. Would be a great thing. How about 20 other stories I could have told you? Just told my first Shadow Kid experience. Oh, come on, to Spookface. You need to come on in future. You really do. Kim, this was great, Paranormal Kim. My first live, my first chance to see you and hear you. Thank you very much. Bless you. Thank you so much. Yeah, like I said, I do think there's so many other stories out there that need to be told, and I suppose it's a nice way where it's not just me listening to one guest. I'm literally opening the floor to all of you guys at home. I bucket loads of stories. Happy to be on, but not tonight as I'm half asleep. Not a problem. Let's have a look. Not a problem at all. And like I said, we're going to just finish fairly shortly, but I'm so pleased by all the different comments. Julie, let's not even go there, shall we? About whether Dawson cleans his handcuffs. I don't really want to know. It's a bit grim. Yeah, Tim's absolutely right on this one. Saying if you guys got stories, keep them lined up for the next Chimps party. Yeah, I mean, if there are. Obviously after this, and you leave a comment, and if you think, if people watching this on catch up, or if you are thinking, actually, I'd like to come on and you feel happy enough to come on in future, by all means, kind of share your stories, because I do find them fascinating, genuinely fascinating, and no kind of what's the word? I'm not going to judge you in any way, shape, or form, because weird shit happens. And it does genuinely happen. Weird shit does happen, and and it's a very strange, peculiar subject. But anything in this world can happen, and so I find it really interesting. Let's have a look. This one, Nick's just saying, even if somebody very kind just give me a membership to the channel, big thank you to whoever did that. It's probably Mike Larry, because Mike Larry is just, it probably is, because Mike donated 10, so it's most likely Mike, I'd have thought. But if anybody else gifted memberships and things, thank you so much, and the donations and things. Right, I shall finish it there, guys. Just one last little thing to mention. Next Monday, on Monday. Hang on, I'm just going to get rid of Nix's comment, otherwise it'll be floating around for a bit. There we go. On Monday, this coming Monday, I'm going to be speaking to Deborah Hyde. So if you're in the US, you probably don't know who Deborah Hyde is, but she's a skeptic, an incredibly clever lady, a skeptic, been on, and I keep on talking about Uncanny, because Uncanny is a TV show, it's a stage show, it's a podcast, it's basically all over the UK at the minute, all about the paranormal. It's really good. And basically Uncanny, they have a group of people who are the believers in the paranormal and a group who are skeptics. And she's one of the skeptic team. So I've had Chris French on, who was also one of the skeptics on Uncanny. Deborah Hyde is another person. And so Deborah is coming on to the Paranormal Monkey podcast this Monday. So it's going to be a good one. Please join me then. Thank you so much for all your comments. Like I said, if I missed you, or if you're watching this on catch up, put it in the comments at home. You know, like I said, on the underneath the YouTube comments, just tell me your experiences. If it's anything really good, or if you've got photos or videos, or just you want to share it, you know, there'll always be another tea party in the next week or two. Possibly we might do one on Halloween. We'll see, because there's a lot going off on Halloween. We'll see. But thank you to every single one of you for commenting, all your thoughts, all your experiences. Really do appreciate it. It's made my job a whole lot easier this evening. And like I said, I'm just thank you for joining me. And it's just, like I said, I think it's been a really nice community thing. And hopefully we can do this again. All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. And I shall bid you good night. Okay. Bye-bye.